Hi, I'm Erica. I think I already got introduced, so that's helpful because I don't like talking about myself very much. I'm sure that's a common thing. I have rewritten this talk in the last 48 hours 5 times, and I'm not even sure I want to go with the slides that I have after hearing all of the talks, because I don't know that you need to hear much of this again. I imagine most of you know what you're supposed to do and want to do it, mostly, and are hoping you find the time and developer effort to do it, and then reality hits and nothing. It's way more difficult than just look at shiny new technology. It's very... It's a frustrating thing. I know that before I was working on the infrastructure side and doing app development in security, when they came to me with their automatic deployment plan, it was so scary. You're like, you want to just deploy code automatically without a human in the way. That's so crazy and scary if you think about it. This is a kind of a really, when you have things that are not as much in your control, it's really kind of scary. Let's see. Before I can go into this, but I do think that it's worth in the long run. The thing that I needed to think about, one, and help them re-architect a little bit, but is there are different aspects to the security, ways you can secure your system. One of the ways is about making changes less risky, about quickly fixing issues as they come up, about being able to better isolate different development teams and services. On the other one is the make sure it's perfect model. Sometimes they fight against each other. What you really want to do is make them work together. This is why my slides kind of don't work. Anyway, but why? So I'm particularly going to focus on authentication. At first, I wanted to kind of step back, and I was like, why do we care about authenticating? Who are we authenticating? Does that even make sense? Especially in Kubernetes, if you notice, there's not really a user. Who maps to a user isn't clear. What is a service account? I have a little picture of a little robot in my head. I don't know if you do. What are we trying to do, and why is it useful to do it this way? So that's where I first kind of back up and think about. The number one reason is you have a perfect system, and those pesky humans have the agency and are able to say, no, I'm going to do something else. We have the ability to lie to each other. Breaks down any model you have about being able to rely on your system. That's one reason. So we actually do need to double check. You learn the hard way that you need to check IDs at some points. Another reason is mistakes happen, things get messy, errors happen. One of the nice things you can do is make sure that someone's at the right spot. This morning, I went to the wrong place, and they directed me to the other side. That happens a lot. Help people that they're in the wrong place when they are. That's one of the reasons authenticating is useful. But really, it's because, or a really central one is that identity is a really powerful abstraction for us to use. It's the number one abstraction we might use every day in our human interactions, right? We think about the world and have these agents, and it's extremely well suited for dynamic distributed systems where you don't have the same kind of guarantees or global state. For instance, everyone's favorite RBAC How many people know how many roles they have in their cluster? Okay. Is that, and how many bindings? One person? Wait, how many do you have? Yeah. I realize when I have the roles and the role bindings and cluster role bindings, debugging why someone doesn't have access or something is a nightmare. This is my call for, can someone please make a tool to help me? But moving on. So if we're breaking down into authentication, we have the core of it is the subject, that we need to have someone that we can kind of start holding responsible for it. Then, I realize I don't have a time on me, but the next important part is we're communicating between our components. We have a shared language that we're talking. We have something that says we know and can distinguish between people. So then when we get to the other part of authorization, now we get into being able to deny or allow something. Of course, the verb, this means we start scoping down our actions. But nope, that was not what it meant. The important part here is, I think, when you have this, we need to be able to break down our system into who are the things that are acting, what are those actions that they do, and who gets to say who can do what or not. It's really only a couple things concepts. They're very basic. The complications, of course, come mostly from how do you map an organizational structure onto that? That's the hard part. And I don't have an answer for you. There's a lot of different parts. You've heard about all those. So now let's look at what's happening in the world. We have increased automation. Things are going faster. That makes it much harder for you to keep track of everything manually. It means consequences can cascade farther if you let them. We have more powerful entities that you need to worry about, as well as less powerful ones. So it's a trade-off, centralization. The developer autonomy, this is one of the goals of it. And yes, this is why teaching and spreading the security gospel is very important. This is a challenge. When you used to have a break, you had steps in human process. Maybe it was false assurance that you could find out issues before it happened. But it is something that you're not, I don't want to say you can't stop it. I kind of feel like when people say which I have said too, which is, look, if you don't provide this for them, they're going to go throw up some janky CI/CD pipeline on who knows what, using who knows what kind of system and security, and then boom, you're hacked, which has happened to companies. But I kind of also feel like that's like the cool mom who says, well, if they're going to drink, I'll let them drink. I'd rather they drink in the house. It's like, well, that's not exactly great parenting either. So we want to find the right type of guidance that's not about not enabling, but yeah, not necessarily just letting anything go or caving in to any kind of demands you need. There is a structure for a reason. You all have a shared goal. I hope you have a shared goal as an organization that you're trying to keep aligned with. The developers and you aren't on separate sides, right? Security isn't just security because, there's laws and things. I'm sure that's important too. But why do you care that your system's going to get hacked or anything? There's personal reasons. There's also that you're trying to advance certain causes. You're trying to have your system help you with something. malicious actors prevent you from doing that. They break trust with customers. It can't, if you have just honest mistakes or downtime, you're losing money that could go to better, building more and better accomplishing your mission. So you're not on different sides. You have an aligned objective with your whole company. So your security of it, the idea is to work together for making it and not fighting. You shouldn't have opposing goals. Of course, the other challenge now is the growing ecosystem. This one it's really difficult to keep up with everything. I know I can't. There's new technologies. They're easier to, the good and the bad is they're both easier to implement quickly, as well as by the time you've done that, which only took maybe a couple days, you already have 3 more that came out in the meantime. And of course, infrastructure decoupling, especially when it comes to identity and access controls. There's a reason I think people can think about it on the terms of kind of infrastructural access. That is, there's certain layers of, at your layer of abstraction that you're dealing with, that's where you're trying to, your structure is let me try to say this better. What your system looks like is based on what your organization does and its culture and structure. That hasn't changed because of Kubernetes. Really, it's the same. If you manage to do it with the technology before, you're going to you can at least do it now. The fundamentals haven't changed. You know best what you need to do. This is not some abstract, there's a best way to do it and you should have this. Happens that we have some of this, we work and collaborate on these open source projects. So we share and we can help each other. We have mutual interests so that we can share these projects and different technologies that you can use. But you don't have to use them because someone said you have to use them, right? It's a tool. And it's always going to come down to what do you look like? You're not Google. So you're not going to necessarily have the same thing as them. That's kind of a good and a bad thing, I think. The good thing, part of it is you're not outdated, I think, if that makes sense. You just have a complex existing organization that you're trying to move in and kind of change. That's not the same thing as being, I would say, backwards. So I want you to leave with thinking that you can do it and that you can have fun with it too. I think I really feel like I don't know what you need necessarily. I'm working really hard to hopefully help everyone get there. Definitely, there are certain things, but one of the things, have fun. These technologies are also there for you to have fun with. It's kind of really cool to scan containers and see the results. It's really fun to have some little bot that's automatically doing something or kicking off pods that are bad, or it doesn't have to be about no. It's helping your organization achieve what its goals are meant to do as best as possible. I have no idea about the time, but please check out OpenShift 4 that just came out. This has been a long culmination of efforts, combining the kind of automatic updates and other aspects of Tectonic from CoreOS with the kind of enterprise readiness more so and features of OpenShift 3. It's pretty cool, so please check it out and try it out for yourself. And all right, maybe give us like a month and then hack it.
That's the honest answer, right? You're being truthful.
I mean, we'll let the normal bugs first fix, then I'll worry about the actual the security ones.
Yeah, typical enterprise software answer, right? Be afraid of being that first one. No, thank you very much, Erica, and appreciate you speaking with us today.